afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, you're watching. Also known as Business Trader here in our Philippine market update for Austin 10X channel. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell for all notifications. This is a daily market update, which is live stream 1 p.m. Philippine time. So let's discuss the Philippine market today closed at 6,245. This is the highest close ever since the COVID period. This is actually March 12, 2020. Take note that we actually closed the ECQ started around March 12, 2020. So we actually recovered back to our ECQ point. So this is a point of return. 6,245 is your pre-ECQ pre-ECQ prices. So I would say that this recovery so far is built on the reopening efforts of the market, of the economy. So take note that as of June 1, we have transitioned from ECQ to MCQ to GCQ, GCQ meaning General Community Quarantine. So this doesn't mean that we are out of the woods. However, this is a substantial rally such that it is convincing that people are willing to bargain hunt even as the economy is still suffering. However, what you could see is that PSEI will only reflect the index averages, not all the stocks. So let's discuss whether all the stocks have recovered and how is it doing per sector. So let's start with the first five. The biggest five names in PSEI is, of course, your SM. So SM led the rally, as you could see, from 500 to 945. We are hitting that March 12, March 11, 2020, and that is a potential resistance. When you say resistance, that is a price wherein we were there around March 11, and that was the price that the market was having prior to this COVID shutdowns. Now, SM recovered. Let's see whether Ayala Corp recovered. Ayala Corp also recovered. It's now back to your Feb 21, so it actually overreached your March 12 closing. So it's I would say that Ayala Corp did a better recovery from about 360 to 760. However, SM is a strong recovery such that it didn't materially fall year to date. So your SM and AC has done well. Ayala Land has also tried to recover, now at 36. It used to close at about 37 during the shutdown. SM Prime is trying to recover. As you could see, it used to trade about 34, 34.30. So that's just a hairline away. That's just 1 peso away. BDO, let's take a look. So BDO used to trade at about 126, 130. So there's still about 30% leeway. However, we could see that BDO is underperforming owing to financials as a sector not doing as not being perceived as COVID-proof, given the extra provision of losses that BDO has to be conservative about based on the consumers that they have lent out with. So technically, banks as a sector can still rally, but it has been underperforming ever since ECQ time, even until GCQ. Now let's take a look at other big banks. Of course, BPI. BPI has made a strong recovery. We are actually seeing BPI do a lot of rebalancing efforts. Workforce has been, there's a lot of employees that they felt were redundant, and so they decided to cut costs. We're seeing that it is back to about 72 to 73. However, take note again, 6-2 index coincides with your March 12, 2020. That was your that was the day that we were closed. All of the offices had to stay at home. So now that we are stay outside home, or the people who can go out can start working, the market simply recovered back to that stage, but it doesn't mean that the recovery is in the data. These are all hopes. Market is hoping, and so for some technicians, you might consider that we are at resistance and it's more prudent to be taking profits, or if you are trying to take an entry position, know that you are entering 50% from the lows. So 48 plus 24 is 72. Okay, that would be let's look at the other one. So Metro Bank, as you could see, Metro Bank has been underperforming around March 11, March 12. We're still trading at 50. So just like BDO, it still has more leeway to go up. Will Metro Bank and BDO go higher? For now, we could see this 42 as resistance. But if 42 gets broken out, it could still go to 45 or 47. It is a weaker company. It is weaker versus BPI. As you could see that after double bottoming here at about 33, even after a substantial rally, it is still way off from its March lows, very off from its February prices. Let's take a look at your social, a few victims, no, social distancing victims. So we already know that Jollibee reported a first quarter loss of 2 billion pesos. Once the results were out, the earnings results, and the MSCI, it actually bottomed at about 108. So far, it is recovering, but you could see resistances here at about 139 or even 150 should it materially go higher. Why are we seeing resistances? Take note that your March 12 ECQ time, so Jollibee Foods was trading at 161. These are all considered bargain hunting, and at some point, take note some resistances on the way up. How about Security Bank? I forgot. So the bank, Security Bank recovered just back to its MSCI. Take note that MSCI deleted Security Bank around May. It was announced May 13. So this was the gap down. Take note, it was trading at 100. It gapped down about 92. So this is just a gap fill. You call this a technical, it's a technical rebound. Your March area was still somewhere here at 139. So technically speaking, Security Bank, BDO, and Metro Bank can consider rising 10 to 20% if there are still continuous bargain hunting. However, it can also have a substantial correction given that your index is near 6.2, which is still perceived as a resistance. So some names have rallied back up. Some names have not yet gone way up to your March. Now, let's see which companies have not yet recovered. Take a look. So construction is a company that hasn't quite recovered. At around March, Megawide was trading at about 10. It fell all the way to 4. It made new lows, 52-week new lows, due to the MSCI. So this first move is called your MSCI revaluation. So around May 12, it was trading at about 6. So it's just a recovery from the MSCI. Now, can it recover back to your ECQ point? It would have to travel as much as 8 or even as high as about 9 or 10. Now, this is dependent on whether construction as a sector can recover. Take note that the construction companies has been halted. Now it's recovering. I mean, due to the GCQ, they can recover and restart their operations. We'll see. Just like EI, of course, EI followed suit, new lows 4. Now it's 5. Can it rally back to 650? From a laggard space, construction has been a laggard. We've seen that your index names were the first to rally. We've seen that your supermarkets have been one of the first movers. You could see that prior to the GCQ, Pure Gold has already risen to about 47. That would be almost 100% from the lows. Doesn't mean that Pure Gold has to fall given their earnings was substantially great, and Pure Gold is still trading at 15 times multiple here at these levels. So we could see that it's possible that due to the good earnings reports, if the market wants to have a good company, they might consider Pure Gold given that earnings are predictable and growing even during COVID time. That would be the same truth for RHI, which is why Robinson's Retail also has a very V-shaped recovery here. Now, as you know, financials are not as good, properties are not as good, but this recovery is owing to that GCQ. So Mega World went from about 3.5, 3.6, all the way to 180, 190. So that's a 50% drop. We consider these recoveries just return to a normal, assuming that we can even return to our March new normal. If it will return, you'll still see resistances here at about 340 to 360. With low upside, if you're entering at about 320, you might have to be more prudent. Doesn't mean that the market will eventually fall, but there is a prudence needed for those who are trying to chase, given that the sector in itself hasn't proven resilient. Of course, properties, banks, even your restaurants are not considered resilient names. Now, in the most hurt sector, of course, Cebu Pacific Airline, the beautiful thing about this, as we said, was okay, it double bottom, it was lagging because of the fact that airlines are the last to recover. With this GCQ, they tried to recover, but of course, this is far, far below your March lows. Your March and February was trading at about 85, even in this substantial rally from 30 to 43. That is still 50% down from your February and March. Given that the airlines are the least possible to recover, you could see that any rallies could be met with substantial selling flow here at about 50 to about 60. So just take note about the sectors that you are taking a look at. As for macro Asia, the same could be said. So at about February, it was still trading at 12 and 10. Given that this sector is still the worst, airlines are still the worst, consider that any rallies here at about 580 to 6 could be met with substantial resistance. And so you're just seeing a strong support here at about 350 and 4, but resistance remains high at about 5 to 6, still 50% away from the prior peaks until the sector recovers. Until the sector recovers, restaurants will still have a hard time. They owe their sales a lot from dining in, and shoppers, the normal dining crowd would still stay at home. Therefore, we could see that the drop from the February, March is still substantial. It was trading at about 10 during that time, fell to about 4. While this is a 50% recovery, a higher low, consider that there will still be selling fronts at about 7 or 8. There will still be selling, but the beautiful thing about this is that these are your higher lows. So you're seeing potential recovery, but always note that there will still be these resistances that will meet in the next few months, as the recovery will be slow for this sector. Same for pizza. Pizza, of course, Shakey's Pizza reported earnings last night. Yesterday, reported earnings was down 35%. We were saying that, yes, the market has priced in a negative earnings front for Shakey's restaurants, all of the restaurants as a sector, given that it was about 50% down since March. So about 9 to about 5. It could rally all the way to this resistance of 7. And over time, if the next few quarters will recover, it could either go to 8 and 9. But if the other quarters will be bad, then it goes back to about 550 or even back to about below 6. So consider that all of these rallies, you will have to do buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. But that low is, the beautiful thing about this sector is that it is a higher low. Meaning that as long as you sell high, you could buy low, and that low would not be the same low as your prior move. So maybe this could make a higher high to make a recovery back to about 750. We'll see. But the good thing about Shakey's Pizza is that delivery has always been the lifeblood of every pizza network. That would be said here. So Jollibee would have resistances at your 150, 160. The beautiful thing, of course, is that this is a higher low despite those losses, as the market and the company is trying to rationalize its costs and capex. So they lowered their capex from about 16 billion. They lowered it to about 7 billion. They're still losing money. They know that the year will be bad. And the market has priced this definitely from about trading from 180 all the way to 90. The only thing that bulls can be assured of is that at 120 below, it looks supported. However, at any prices from 138 to 160, you might see a lot of resistances getting some selling pressure there. So let's take a look on your market. So your resilient names, PLDT and Globe, took a breather. It isn't a sell, it's just breathing. And then your market is trying to recover. Today's market value is 7.5 billion. That's a good price. You can see people are buying and selling. Your foreign buying is 3.4 billion. Your foreign sell value is 3.8 billion. We could see that the most of the foreign buying has been really in your index names. So financials and properties, your Ayala Land, your SM Prime recovered. Your following weights. So take a look on your weights. If you look at the weights of the Philippine market, today's rally of 220 points primarily comes from your Ayala, your SM Prime, your JG Summit, AEV, BPI, BDO, ICT, a couple on AC. So your top is really Ali SM Prime. So those are your top moves. This means that even if AC is a strong recovery and SM is a strong recovery, they don't have much leeway to go up, as SM at 950 has already risen 100%, more approximately 100%, same as for Ayala Corp. So you're seeing that the upside to the market is very little. Maybe 6.2 can go 6.3, 6.4, owing to the fact that your BDOs could still rally. 102 can still rally to 110. Metro Bank could still rally to about 41, but you have to be careful. So I have to share that, what's this? So your financial, some of your financial can recover, but not all. This is one of the best moves for your index. So ACSM, including JG Summit. JG Summit rallied approximately 100% from its lows, from about 28 to 58.60. As you could see, JGS's major subsidiary is URC, and Universal Robina's business is consumer staples. And so we saw that consumer staple as a sector, URC is very strong. Could it recover even to your March? So your March, it was about 139, 135. Yeah, so far URC is a very strong mover. Any drops at about 120 is considered very resilient. Just so you know, Telephone and Globe are just trying to consolidate here. So this is just breathing. Any drops at 160 will continue to be bought. Globe at about 2.1 will continue to be bought. So these are just breathing. Telephone, Globe, URC, Pure Gold, these are just breathing. So for now, it's breathing. While your index laggards, due to the GCQ, that's your sympathy play. So it's really a sympathy move. Whether we can continue higher will really depend on some of your banks and properties, whether Ayala Land can continue higher. So if Ayala Land, SM Prime continues higher, you might see another resistance here at 6.6, and more so, bigger resistances here at 6.8. So be careful. We always evaluate risk reward. We said that Cebu Pacific at 33 had great risk reward, but at 43, with upside limited to about 50 to 55, you might have to be more prudent and just trim on the way up, scale out upward. Any drops, if you truly believe in the worst sectors such as airlines, you gotta wait for either a double bottom, a triple bottom, in the case of SEB, somewhere below 35 or 40 below. So that's it for today. It's June 3, 2020. I hope you learned a lot, and let's see you again tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.